morning, guys.
Good morning.
So, yes, so there was a question, which catalysts are we talking about? So we are here talking about all the catalyst series 2K, 3K, 4K, and 6K. Right? So we have unified access group, which is the access side of the switches, and then we have the backbone group, Samuel. So both of us are going to kickstart this, talking about the roadmap of different platforms, where we are headed on these platforms, and then we have an entire 1.5 hours or more on the sessions going deeper into these technologies that are coming up with these product lines. So quickly jumping into this. All right. And it should show somewhere, right? So I think you might move. Put this off here. This is blocking. All right. So essentially, the way we have kind of put the session and the demos and technical deep dive here is around the 4 problems that we are seeing most of the IT departments handling, which are linked to the business trends that you are seeing: BYOD, collaboration, virtualization. So that you hear future in the session here is about security, SGA, cool technologies on that, smart operations, energy-wise. All of those things are linked to how you are making sure you're trending with BYOD, you're trending with collaboration, right, and virtualization. Right. How are we doing all of that in different access switches that we're putting together, 2K, 3K, 4K, and on the backbone side with 6K, and aligning the roadmap to that. And these big buckets of security, managing complexity, high quality experience, business continuity, and while lowering the TCO, linked to practical questions that the customers are having, right? Which are these? And I'm sure that you will have all of these things coming up in the session that we have, right? Quickly jumping into the roadmap, on the 4K side, which is our modular flagship access product line, we have SOUP 7E, 7LE, 48 gig per slot available today. We are coming out with 9,000 watt power supply in that from a hardware perspective, just to make sure that we can handle a lot more UPOE ports, right? So more power towards the desktop, towards the port, going to the desk.
Honestly, and maybe this is better for the UPOE session specifically, but how much UPOE demand are you seeing?
Oh, huge, because
Okay.
right. So we have the technology solutions, but as well, yeah.
Okay, more to come. All right.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
curious.
we've said publicly that 6 months after we launched it, we got to a million port run rate. We now doubled that to 2 million, right?
Okay. I'll save for the next part of the session. So
Okay.
continue.
All right. On the roadmap side, we are looking at next generation of supervisor with 10 gig uplinks. The hardware is going to be list ready. We are also coming with SGT support in that, which you will hear again in the next session. There will be Bonjour Support Sdn is also on the roadmap. We are looking for different use cases for the access side and linking it from that end.
Bonjour Support as an Apple
Yes.
protocol?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
MDNS
Like
is the standardized
Bonjour-
piece of
Bonjour
the
gateway
MDNS.
routing?
I'm sorry.
Or
Is that just giant purple?
Bonjour routing?
So Bonjour MDNS support for advertising the services and linking that to people,
Okay.
reaching it out across different VLANs and
Okay.
Gateway. Bonjour gateway.
yes.
DNS. It's like super DHCP.
Is that
Well, I
right?
think there's a little more to it, isn't there? I mean, didn't Arrowhive or somebody come up with a pretty interesting solution?
A lot of cool stuff you can do with it. Service advertising, really.
There's a lot of different Bonjour solutions out there. Everybody's got a different take on it, different ways.
Yeah.
They vary quite dramatically as well.
On the fixed side, again, different set of portfolios. We have FE, GIGI, 10 gig type of interfaces available and all of that. In the future, again, looking at quite a few other stuff, MediaNet, MSP, metadata capabilities. I think we'll talk about that as well in the coming session. We will have Lisp support as well coming up on the roadmap here. Bonjour Support Sdn. That's what we're looking for from a Catalyst access switching perspective. Right.
So is this the Bonjour support that the wireless BU keeps talking about, or is it a separate set?
So essentially, it's going to be similar, but the idea is that whatever services you are advertising with Bonjour support, we will act as a Bonjour gateway, MDNS gateway, to kind of share that services across the different network components.
Just gotta ask, is that going to be a completely separate piece of software to allow me to do that, or is that going to be something I can configure at the switch level?
It is going to be in the switch level.
Okay, because it's great that you guys can recognize it, but if I have to buy yet another product with another set of 65 different kind of licensing SKUs, be able to expose an Apple TV to one person.
Okay.
Feature
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. Or feature just not enabled.
Yeah.
No feature.
So make
All right,
the
yeah.
licensing simple.
Make it no licensing.
Exactly.
licensing,
The
yeah.
simplest form of licensing. Absent.
You might see there's an RTU bullet out there.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's that.
That's a rabbit hole we don't want to go down right now.
For sure.
All right. Okay. Thank you. You want to
Okay,
go into the
so,
6K
Good
piece?
morning, everyone. So I'm Samuel Pasquier. I'm a product line manager for Catalyst 6500. To give some background, I've been with 6500 for the last 8 years, and I spent 6 years on engineering and working on different releases. SX was one of the releases I worked on, and I saw your comment recently, that's why I'm mentioning it.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that this is a good idea. I feel I've spent the last 3 years positioning Nexus to customers.
Okay.
And now I've got to turn around and say, you know that decade-old thing that you've got in your data center, and that everything else in your data center has been replaced in the last 2 years, but we're going to keep that same old Cisco trash in the corner.
So that's a good.
So that's the message. So the
Starting
CIO said,
strong.
you mean I don't actually have to? There's no innovation in the network. Is literally what he said to me. I don't have to replace that. Nothing's changed in networking. We're done.
Let's hear what he has to say.
So
Right. Yeah. So I think your main question is around 6500. I'm fine, don't worry. 6500 and Nexus 7000. And what we have done at Cisco is we have developed a new product line, Nexus product line, and I'm sure you widely deploy this product line to address the data center requirement. Realistically, 6500 has been there for almost 10 years, more than 10 years. I'm sure you more or less have a 6500 somewhere in your network. So it's a huge install base. It's a very strategic platform for Cisco. And what we realize is the Nexus platform is really good. It's really addressing the data center requirement. But some customers still lack their 6500 in the data center. So we are still doing some, I would say, investment protection for data center for people who want to rely on this platform.
Well,
No.
but some of it's missing features still, VPLS or something,
VPLS is supported
on the
On-
7K.
on the sub-2T.
But you're saying, why are we keeping the 6Ks in the data center? It's not necessarily because we love them, it's because there's not feature parity.
So the idea of the positioning of Cisco is really Nexus to address the data center requirement. And the Catalyst 6500, what we are doing is we are really focusing our investment for the campus backbone. So the aggregation and the core of the backbone, because we have all those features that we have developed over the year that make it very interesting for the campus. So really, it's not really 6500 going to data center, replacing Nexus, or Nexus replacing 6500. It's Nexus 7000 and Nexus line for the data center, 6500 for the campus. So a few things I wanted to mention, and I think it's good we have an interactive session. It's a very strategic platform. I mentioned we have a very huge install base, and we have a lot of our customers that actually rely on this platform to run our business. So Cisco understands that, and we are really committed to continue to invest on 6500. And by investment, I'm saying investment for the campus backbone. That's where we want to focus our investment. Okay. And to give you an order of magnitude, over the next 3 years, Cisco is committed to invest more than $200 million on this platform. Okay, so it's significant investment on 6500 for the campus backbone.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I realise it's a different BU, but the 7600 platform, carbon copy, got some different cable management. Is it safe to assume that product is dead?
No, it's not set. So that's a good point that you are raising.
There's no SUIT2T, there's no BSS. It's like the enterprise is going off and doing great things,
Yeah.
and bringing the zombie back out of the grave. The 7600 just seems to have stalled.
No, it's not dead. And actually, that's a good point that you are raising is why 7600, why Nexus 7000, and so on. And if you look over the year, what we realize is 6500 used to be everywhere. Access, core, service provider, data center, everywhere. Everywhere you have a 6500. We realize that, well, it's good, but unfortunately, the feature velocity is not there if we need to address all the market. So I like to say we divorced with 7600, so they went on their side to accelerate feature development for service provider network. We created Nexus 7000 to address data center requirements, things like FCOE, fabric scalability, 10 gig density, and so on. And 6500 investment with SUB2T to address the campus backbone. Now, to go back to your question on 7600, what we are doing is actually SUB2T is supported in the 7600S chassis. We are supporting in one of the chassis today. At the end of this month, we are going to support in a new chassis as well. So there is a lot of DNA in common that we are sharing with 7600. So you will see people who bought the 7600 chassis, they will be able to go and plug a SUB2T in it and be able to use all their 10 gig LAN cards that they may have and so on. The things that we are not going to support today is the one module. So if you have things like SIP400, ES+, ES40, all these kind of things, that is not supported today with subtlety. Okay. So what are we going to do on 6500? Several things. First, we're going to increase the scale and capacity, scaling capacity. So what does it mean? That means increasing, for example, you will see an increase in terms of 10 gig density. You will see an increase in terms of 40 gig. I'm sure you all know, but 6500 has been the first modular platform to actually ship 40 gig in the Cisco portfolio on a modular switch. And over the last 4 months, we shipped more than 2,000 40 gig port ready. When I say ready is we have an adapter that can work either in 40 gig or in 4 times 10 gig. So it's hard for us to really tell you exactly how many 40 gig port because you can use in both modes. But we see a very strong adoption in 40 gig. Especially with university to interconnect, their backbone, their lab, and so on. We have different case studies on Cisco.com that you can check. We have also seen 40 gig actually in data center for people who have 6500 there. For example, VeriSign, they see an explosion of DNS traffic, so they use our product with 40 gig interface in data center there. And so let me go to the next slide. So performance and scale. Very three-dimensional roadmap. In terms of scale, as you know, we have the E-series chassis that you most likely all have in your network. Those chassis, when we launch them, we announce them as 80 gig per slot. Well, I'm not sure if you read the news, but at Cisco Live London last year, in January this year, we announced that those chassis are 180 gig per slot capable. So you can expect us to make use of that at one point. What does it mean? It means, well, it's gonna improve the 10 gig density, the 40 gig, and it makes the platform ready for 100 gig. Okay. What you're gonna see as well in performance and scale is the compression of 6500. So all the feature sets that you know on 6500 in a smaller form factor with higher density. So that's the kind of thing you can expect. In terms of feature and service, well, we have, we counted more than 3,000 features. So we have a very rich feature set on 6500. We are continuing to invest there, especially on the trust tech. You're going to hear much more today about that, and that all these functionality are available on 6500 for the core of your backbone. And the last thing is TCO. So we are going to try to simplify operation, especially in the campus. So you're going to see things like campus flex appearing in the campus portfolio. So that's something we are working on, as well as I'm sure you all know about OpenFlow, SDN, and so on. So we will deliver SDN solution on Catalyst 6500.
Can you define that? What do you mean by an SDN solution?
Yes, by SDN solution right now, we are working in a university on the East Coast, and we are actually a client, OpenFlow client, running on 6500, and we are doing a proof of concept. Okay. So people are developing, their controller, their app in their controller to manage that. When we are gonna, so right now we have a software ready, which is more like I would say proof of concept, so not ready for production. But within 2 years, you will see that coming in production-ready software with OpenFlow client as well as Cisco One PK, the programmability toolkit that will be available on 6500. Okay.
So the 1PK performance will be like comparable to an ASR 9000?
I cannot tell you that exactly. What we are trying to do is when you buy a 6500, obviously you want things to happen in hardware. Yeah. So one of the very nice things, I'm not sure if you know about Subtuti, is we have flexible net flow. So we can really, the ASIC is very flexible. So we can choose which field we can use to do accounting and so on. So we can leverage this kind of feature sets built in the hardware to be able to scale an OpenFlow implementation.
So these new line cards, are they going to be a new OS, or are we going to be stuck with the old iOS S6?
So that's a good question. Actually, we have a new iOS. We have the 15.0 iOS. So what this 15.0 is we do a lot of effort within Cisco to try to unify the software between the different platforms. We heard you, and Cisco is fully committed to that. So we created a new infrastructure for software development. So a lot of things changed internally. And what you see as a customer and as a user is the 15 train. So 15 train is really across the board. Now your question might be around iOS 60. So iOS 60, we had discussion to bring that, but I'm sure you remember we used to have iOS Modular. So iOS Modular was not a big success. I would say we did not see a lot of adoption. People preferred iOS. So at this point, that's something we are looking at. We are taking the 15.0 train. We are taking all the components. The iOS 60 part and the modularity part will most likely come at a later stage.
No. Okay. How much line card when we're talking gut the box, put in new gear in order to support most of these features, I assume. There's not
Okay.
going to be a whole lot of backwards.
Everything is going to be backward compatible. What we've done with
Plug and
Sub2,
play, lease even.
when you buy a Sub2T today, you can reuse all your 67 line cards, 61 line cards, and at one point we have to draw the line to say, well, we cannot support 62, 63, 65. It just make it very complex. So we cut the line on 61, 67 series where you can upgrade the DFC3 to a DFC4 or reuse the CFC if you have one. Service modules are supported. What we are going to do going forward is with Sub2T we have a new 68 series which come with the DFC4 at the price of a CFC. We have the 69 series. The new line cards that we are going to develop are all going to be backward compatible with Sub2T. Okay. So pretty much you can expect same feature set as 6500 in a different form factor with higher density, smaller form factor, higher density, and more scalability. That's what we are going to deliver over the next few months. Okay. Any question?
Can you
I
stop
talk
it?
fast with a French accent, so everyone is sleeping.
Can we stop it?
Can we stop it?
Yeah.
Can we stop 6500?
Yeah.
We don't want to stop
Just leave it where it
6500.
is. It's fine.
We don't. I mean,
I've got a 4500, and there's nothing that appeals to me. I've run 4500 to be at just as comparable stats.
well,
That's a thing I worry about with 6500. I look at 6500 and go, it's a lot more money for not a lot much more. Like
okay, it's not that.
if you're going to spend my money and figuratively screw me, I want it to be pleasure. Like I don't want it to be like no. I'm being as serious as crude as that is. I'm being serious as it is because you look at the money difference. It's quite a lot.
It's not that much actually with Sub2T. It all depends on the configuration you are looking at.
It's not that much, but it can be
the
enough.
the premium. I mean, it will depend on the configuration that you are looking at and so on. And what you're going to see is there is a feature set you have on 6500 that you don't have on 4500, and you're not going to see on 4500. When I talk about the investment of 6500 in the campus backbone, there's feature to simplify operations that I just talked right now that you're going to see on 6500 that are not going to come on 4500. You have things like MPLS supported on 6500 today. It's not on 4500. There is no plan to bring that to 4500.
Okay.
So there is a difference between the different platforms, and those feature some makes different for our customers.
So your differentiation is feature sets as opposed to sort of raw numbers. If you're looking through throughput, backplane, that sort of thing.
Well, even raw number. I mean, if you look at the scalability of you take a 13-slot chassis or you take even a 6-slot chassis, especially with what we're going to deliver over the next few months, you will see quite a big difference in terms of pure performance.
That's right. It's just interesting because you look at the numbers closely, especially or at least in Australia, the economic climate's interesting.
Yeah.
And penny pinching essentially. That's what we look at, and it's just sometimes a bit of a monetary negativity around the 6500 platform, comparing it to the 4500, which is far more enticing. You look at some of the discounts and bundles you get on that.
I understand you're saying, and if you want the 6500, I would say is the victim of its success. It has been a platform that has been so successful over the year.
Yeah.
It's been there for so long that people expect all our competitors want to see this platform dead. But the reality is not dead, and it's not going to die.
Do you see another sort of 10 years with the 6500?
Of course, it's going to go beyond 2020. We can invest on it. We have proved that the chassis are ready. We're going to develop new things to be able to scale this platform. And just to give you an idea on the numbers, over the last year that we started to ship Sub2T, we sold more than 16,000 Sub2T. So there is a demand on the market for that, and people like this platform. And in number of customers, it's 2,600 different customers who bought Sub2T. So it's significant. And Cisco has no intention to walk away from that. No. And for any competitor to go and match the 6500, like it or not, it's going to take years. You can put thousands of engineers to develop features. By the time you go and develop all the features that you have, I mean, we call it the Swiss Army knife of networking. I mean, you call it like that. It's not me. And there is a reason. So for anyone to come anywhere close to 6500 and match the feature set, it could take forever. Okay. Within Cisco, outside of Cisco.
I appreciate your honesty.
So we are committed to that. Yeah. What we are doing is scaling performance and scalability. That's what we need to do, and that's what we are doing.
I think the people behind watching as well, especially, appreciate the fact it is a 10-year. If you're saying it's a 10-year platform, and it seems to be that you're investing a lot of money into it with Sdn solution as well. Hey, that's
my concern because my understanding of the 6500 architecture is that implementing OpenFlow type, flow updating flow tables. The current platform's unable to handle very fast changes to the flow tables.
Well, yeah, I mean, the architecture of 6500 is really distributed, right? So we have CPU on the line card, we have fully distributed lookup. On Sub 720 and all the Sub 720 that we have this kind of fixed mask you can use.
Yeah.
So it's traditional NetFlow. It's really don't have much flexibility.
Yeah.
With Sub 2T and the PFC4, DFC4, it's a whole new story, and you have this flexibility that you can use to do a lot of very fancy stuff. So
line card independence is kind of what hurts me.
Anyway,
I
we have to
mean,
we have to move on.
you know, I buy a new card and I'm only as fast as the slowest one. That hurts.
Okay, we have to move on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we have to.
oh, okay,
No problem.
that's fine. I'm gonna be around if you have a question.
Thank
Please
you.
feel free.
Appreciate your
Thank
honesty.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.